biglietti rivenduti alla frutteria, alla festa, al cappellone.
If you come and take a seat, I'll tell you about Centre Court and then I'll give you some time to get photographs. Okay, so welcome to Centre Court. In here we have 15,000 seats, some commentary boxes up at the back here, but the BBC sends the pictures all around the world and then the commentators from different countries actually do the commentaries from different positions. You can see the famous roof. It's in two parts today. Normally it's stored in one part, but for the championships it's stored in two parts like this. It takes about 10 minutes to close the roof and then they have to manage the air in here. It's ironic, isn't it, that for the 6th year since 1922 there was no rain at all during last year's championship. Behind me you can see with the wood surround the royal box. 75 seats can be fitted in there, and if you're important enough you can express an interest for a ticket to the royal box. So you'll see people from the showbiz world, sports stars. You'll see occasionally the Queen in there. The Queen said to not be too keen on tennis, but she was persuaded to come last year to watch on Andy Murray's second round match. Her father, who's portrayed in the King's Speech, was an extremely good tennis player and took part in the doubles championship here at Wimbledon. So it's quite interesting that she's not interested at all. Oh, a queening up there, look at that. Okay. So the roof, if this had been anywhere but the Centre Court at Wimbledon, this project would have taken 18 months. That would have excluded somebody from winning the title in the setting. So this project took 3 years. The first winter, the old roof went off. The second winter, the closing struts arrived, and the third winter, the closing roof arrived and was tested. We had a celebration of tennis when we invited Andre Agassi to partner his wife Steffi Graf against Tim Henman and Kim Clijsters. Kim Clijsters enjoyed training for that match so much, she's come back to the ladies' game, and of course the Belgians are thrilled to have somebody at the top of the ladies' game. So, if you look over here you can see a little summer house. For some obscure reason, everybody always gets worried that if they get a ticket near that they won't be able to see. That is just a temporary viewing pod. It will disappear before the championship. So you don't have to worry if you have a seat near it. You can access it through the cafe, Centre Court 360, to have another look at Centre Court before you go. So don't forget that you can also go in there as well. So in here we have a famous supporters box. If you look to the scoreboard telling you that Nadal rather overcame Berdych in the final last year, but behind that are 2 rows of seats in the supporters box. The first person to make that supporters box famous was in the 1980s when Pat Cash climbed up to hug his family and supporters up there. Lots of other stars has followed suit, most enthusiastically Goran Ivanisevic, but the one that made us smile was Maria Sharapova. When she won in 2004, she didn't realise that there was a wall and she got stuck without actually getting to the supporters box. So somebody passed her mobile phone down to her. We like to think she was phoning Martina Navratilova because Martina Navratilova, amongst the other things she's done for the game of tennis, discovered Maria Sharapova as a 6-year-old in poor family circumstances and was instrumental in making sure she went to the Bollettieri Academy in the States. So, she didn't make it up there, but lots of others have done since Pat. So, you might like also to know that Wimbledon only turned professional in 1968. Before 1968, the players took home very useful things like vouchers for the Army and Navy stores or a hamper from Fortnum and Mason's, but they had real money in 1968. So the 2 first professional winners were, of course, Rod Laver and Billie Jean King. Rod Laver won £2,000, whilst Billie Jean King won £750. So Billie Jean King made it her lifelong ambition to get equal recognition for women. And she will have been as delighted as anybody else in 2006 when Wimbledon announced, and I think took the world by surprise, that they would be paying equally for men and women from the 2006 championships. So since 1968, you'll all have your favourite players, and I never try and mention them all. We had the great years of Borg, McEnroe and Connors, Steffi Graf, who dominated the grass courts, Martina Navratilova. Everybody's got their favourites. But in the last decade, we have seen some fabulous tennis here at Wimbledon. In the ladies' games, the Williams sisters have been extremely dominant on the grass courts. So Venus has won the championship 5 times, and of course her sister Serena picked up the championship for the 4th time in this setting last year. It's amazing when you think that Venus is still serving faster than anybody else in the ladies' game, and it gives the girls a huge advantage on these courts. Venus Williams yet again recorded the fastest women's serve last year, 128 miles an hour. The men are not even averaging that speed, so it gives the Williams sisters a huge advantage. And in the men's game, well, Federer has been triumphant here 6 times, and of course Rafael Nadal, another of the great ambassadors of the game of tennis. We were really worried 2 years ago, actually coming up for 3 years ago, after he was injured. He'd won the tournament, we thought we might not see him back at Wimbledon again. 1 year off, and last year he came back to his magnificent best. So Rafael Nadal and Serena Williams hold the title from last year. We're waiting to see who are going to lift the trophies on this court this year. But let me tell you, it's worthwhile. They also pick up a cheque for £1.1 million as the winner of the singles title. So if anybody knows any British kids who show any promise whatsoever, we need them on the courts here at Wimbledon. Thanks very much for doing the tours. I'm going to give you a few minutes, about 3 or 4 minutes to get some photographs. You need to stay underneath this section of the roof and then come down the staircase here, and you can feed back down to the museum and the shop. Thank you for doing the tour.